those things, because without that, they're pretty much left nothing and are considered like spinsters and whatnot. Not desirable. So you can imagine being 5 daughters. You're stressed because you don't have like a son or anything to keep all that you have. And so that's where we have like the mother Claflin as Will Traynor. So both of these characters I like, or these actors I enjoy for obviously two very different reasons. So Emilia Clarke, she was in Game of Thrones as Daenerys. That was like her biggest role. I had seen like some Game of Thrones, but not that much. However, I did enjoy her character, and I am sad of how that ended for her at the end of that show. But yeah, so I enjoyed her from there. And then Sam Claflin, of course, I enjoyed him from Hunger Games. I think that's where we were all introduced to him pretty much, as Finnick Odair. And you'll see that Hunger Games is another one of my comfort movies, so makes a lot of sense. But anyways, the plot is a cheerful, directionless young woman, Lou, takes a job caring for a wealthy man, Will, who became paralyzed in an accident. She tries to show him life is worth living, and they fall in love, but he plans to end his life in Switzerland, leading to a heartbreaking choice for Lou. So, yeah, basically, to kind of say all that in my own words, Louisa Lou they live in like this small little town in, England or whatever. And she lives with her parents and her grandpa and all of this stuff. And her parents are really struggling, like financially. I think the dad lost his job, and I don't think the mom worked. I think she was like a homemaker. Her older sister, she was going to school, and she was also helping out, but then she goes off to school, so basically it's up to Louisa to really help her parents out. And she was working at this bakery, but things are tough, so they let her go, and all of that. And so she finds a job being a caregiver to this man named Will Traynor, who was paralyzed after a motorcycle accident. And he wasn't even riding the motorcycle, is the crazy part. He was hit by somebody on a motorcycle, so he was walking and then they hit him. And you definitely get the impression that before the accident he was very successful, very adventurous, very bachelor in the city, just doing whatever, successful guy, young guy, and all of this stuff. Sorry, I got a call, an important call, sorry. So as I was saying, I don't remember what I was saying, but I think I was just describing that he was very active and all of this stuff. Will Traynor was. Okay, so she becomes his caregiver, and at first he's he hates the world vibes, which I mean is understandable for him. He just didn't want that life, and he says that he's it's not my life, And so basically the point is that eventually he starts to warm up to Louisa, because really, truly, she's such a bubbly character, and I really fell in love with Emilia Clarke specifically in this role. Sure, as Daenerys, whatever, but I don't know, I was oh, she's so sweet, and I don't even know if that's what she's like, but I was I'll watch her in anything, basically. So that, yeah, and whatever, so she's trying to, they're getting closer and whatever, you see that they're starting to like each other, and then she finds out, and there's no spoiler alert, this movie has been out since 2016, so no spoilers, I don't care. But she finds out that he's been looking into in the way that he's thinking about it, because like he's thinking like this, like he said, this is not my life. I don't want to live like this, basically. And she takes it to more, well, I'm gonna change his mind, which we find out at the end that he's not gonna change his mind, because, you know, they hang out more and all this stuff, and like I said, they're falling in love with each other and whatnot, and she's thinking, yay, like, we're good. And then they have this really emotional scene where he's basically like, I'm still gonna do that, and she's crying, and I wish I never met you, and all of this stuff. But it's a very good movie. I will say it is kind of one of my go-to cry movies, because I will cry at the end. I won't necessarily tell you what happens at the end, but you can assume. So yeah, it's definitely one of my go-to cry movies. It rips my heart out every single time I watch it. This one is like kind of harder to find sometimes. Like on streaming services, I feel like sometimes it's not around enough. But when I do see it, I do watch it. And yeah, and I think my favorite scene out of this whole movie is when Louisa has her birthday, and she has a boyfriend who's like really not even paying attention to her. He's more obsessed with running and doing all that stuff. Anyways, so everybody's sending her a gift, whatever, and then Will gives her a gift, and it's a pair of bumblebee tights. And when you're watching the movie, you realize that she expressed to him that when she was younger, she had this pair of bumblebee ties that she was obsessed with and she loved. And I think she said something like, I guess she just got too big for them or something, because I mean, they're kind of childish tights. But he gives her the bumblebee tights, and she's like freaking out, and like her boyfriend's just like, what? I just love that scene, because it really shows that he truly cares for her and listens to her. But yeah, it's very, very sweet movie, and like I said, it's a little sad at the end, but I mean, I think it's still like it's still good, it's still watchable for sure. But there's that one, and then this next one is gonna be my number one, probably most watched comfort movie. I think second would be Pride and Prejudice, but this is number one, and that is Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman, Pretty Woman. And that came out in 1990, so before I was even born. But I think the first time I saw it was like, I was like a teenager or something. I think maybe my mom was like, just watch this. Or no, I don't know. Or maybe I just watched it because I had heard, like, you hear Pretty Woman, it's like a cultural, like it's a culturally relevant movie that you have heard of for sure. But it stars Julia Roberts as Vivian Ward, and then Richard Gere as Edward Lewis. So the plot is a corporate raider hires a sex worker to be his companion for social events, and their transactional arrangement evolves into a genuine connection as they fall in love. So basically, yeah, so we're introduced to Richard Gere's character. Edward, sorry. We're introduced to Richard Gere's character, Edward, at the beginning, and we get the idea, well, first off, he's very successful, but we also get the idea that he's not successful in love, and he doesn't really care about the women that he's with. He kind of just, like, he dates these women, but he's not really invested in them, and all of this stuff. And we're introduced to Vivian as a sex worker. So they meet because Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss, Everdeen, Josh Hutcherson as Peeta Mellark, and Liam Hemsworth as Gale. We have Woody Harrelson, we have Donald Sutherland, we have Elizabeth Banks. You know, it's a pretty stacked cast, I will say. The plot, and this is just for the first one, but it says, in a post-apocalyptic North America, the capital forces 12 districts to send 2 teenagers, a boy and a girl, to fight to the death in the annual Hunger Games. Katniss Everdeen volunteers to save her younger sister, Prim, and must rely on her survival skills to outlast 23 other tributes. So, very intense, and I think, for the most part, everybody knows what the Hunger Games is, because we're still being fed new Hunger Games lore and content to this day. I think this year, I'm not sure, maybe this year we're getting the Haymitch backstory. But anyways, so this is basically about a dystopian society where they're essentially just letting children kill each other in this game that is televised for everyone to see, and it's basically a way for the leaders to instill fear in all of the other districts, so that way they don't rebel ever again. And I mean, there's 4 movies technically, so I'm not gonna explain every single one, but it eventually just gets, gets so big to where it's the full revolution starts, and Katniss is the face of that revolution, and she has to go through a whole bunch of things, until eventually, they do come out on top, and hopefully, the world is good, which we do know the world is good, because Katniss always said that she would never have children in a world like this, and then at the end we see that she did have children, so clearly she felt safe enough to have babies. But these films hold a very special place in my heart, and that is just because I think it's just the nostalgia of all them, and I will say they're all very good. One thing about these movies is that none of them fall flat for me. I know sometimes in some series and stuff, there's always one movie where it's whatever. None of these feel that way for me. They all pretty much hold up on their own pretty well. So I think that's also why, whenever I watch this movie or these movies, I want to do it in one sitting, because they're so good. So I've done that a few times, just that, and it takes up all day, and maybe a little bit of the next one, but I will watch them all in one sitting. But like I said, they hold a special place in my heart just because of the nostalgia of it all. Because back when they were first premiering, we were such big fans, me, my mom, and my sister. So we would go to the midnight showings. Let me know if you've done those. But yeah, it's basically the day that's supposed to premiere, they show the movie at midnight, and I don't think movies have that same thing these days. Or maybe, I don't know, but yeah, because we did it with the Twilight movies as well, but those, I don't know, I just don't enjoy watching them as much as the Hunger Games. But yeah, it's hard not to like it. The vibes are very, like, positive and, like, it's nothing too deep or whatever. It's just very, like, it's just good vibes. That's, like, all I can really say about it. Also, Mark Ruffalo in this movie is such a cutie, like, very cute. And, of course, Jennifer Garner's beautiful and very cute as well. My favorite part of this movie, I think, is, like, I like the Thriller, when they're dancing Thriller. I love that. But I love the montage when she's going back home because she realizes, like, I'm, like, a terrible person. Like, I'm lost. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And the song Vienna starts playing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Like, before it was like whatever, but now I think as I'm getting older, like, the scene hits even harder. Like, I will get emotional because it's just, as you get older, you realize, like, what the hell was I fighting so hard to get older for? Like, this is whack. And you just want to, like, slow down and really, like, embrace everything that's happening to you. So, yeah, I think that's kind of one of the reasons I really love it. Like I said, it's just good vibes, and at the same time, you do get, like, a lesson in there of, really just value what you have and, like, the phase of life you're in, because it's not, you're not going to get it back. And of course, we have